Alrighty, y'all. My name is Miss Sanchez.
I'm Mr. Lindley.
And today we are going to give y'all our instrument tuba guide video.
This video will help you teach beginners how to play tuba.
Yes, from everything like assembly, embouchure, basics,
tonguing,
all that jazz.
And we'll go over some pedagogical problems that you might encounter and some ways to fix those.
Yes.
So without further ado, let's get into it. First things first, we want to go over getting the instrument out of the case.
Yes.
So there's two different categories of cases you'll encounter. You're more likely to see a hard case. So like this one's like probably best for travel, especially with your younger students. And how you uncase it. If it's standing up, you want to put it down on the side with the latches facing up.
Yes.
So you undo the latches, open the John up, and then you see your tuba. And I guess this is a good time to go over different types of tubas. Almost all of your students will be playing on a B-flat tuba, which is a tuba, a contrabass tuba keyed in B-flat. And then professional players perform on contrabass C tubas, which is a tuba keyed in C, or a bass F tuba, which is a tuba that plays higher, well, it's keyed higher, and it's tuned to F. But back to cases. Hard case. There you go. Taking the tuba out, you want to grab it by the bell and by the big pipes. Don't let students grab it by the small pipes. So don't let them grab any slides or anything. You want to grab it by the big parts of the bell, two hands at all times.
Yes.
Pick it up, bring it to wherever you want. And then from here, you can either sit it down on the side, gently sitting down, or alternatively, you can sit on the bell. And I recommend, if you're able to, sit against a chair or a strong object to not let it stand on its own. There's pros and cons on doing either. It really depends on the culture of your program. For me, the biggest con of sitting down on the side is that it might dent
The side of the bell.
Yes.
And the side of the body of the instrument. It's also good. Like setting it on the bell is also good, but you just have to make sure that the bell is also not dented, because if it's dented, then like the bell won't lay even on the ground, and that could also cause it to fall over. So that's another good reason as to why we want to put it against a chair. So if that bell is uneven and you do decide to put it on the bell, it at least rests against something so it won't fall over.
Also, the more time it's on the bell at one time, the more likely it's like getting a dent one side. Like you can tell with this one, it's already kind of bent if I let go of it.
Yes.
So like if you're sitting it down for a long period of time, you should probably sit on the side. But just be careful, because it's so easy for students to like just step on a horn, step on a tuba that's on the ground on the side, because it's hard to see. Beginners aren't looking. So it's like up to you and the culture of your program.
Yes.
And it also depends on the material of your instrument. This one's made of harder metal, so it can like withstand more on the side. And then like mine, for instance, my C tuba, it's made of like a very thin metal, which helps it resonate more, but also you can tell like zoom in. You can tell like some scratches and dents from just like letting it be on the side and like wobbling over. So use your discretion. Is there anything you want to add?
Alrighty, now we're gonna talk a little bit more about the like mouthpiece and like now getting the instrument in your lap now that we have it like out of the case and either on its bell or on the side. So I have my tuba right here. It's currently on its bell, but
How do you pick it up?
I pick it up, so I like to grab obviously the big parts of the instrument, because always tell your students, don't grab by the slides, don't grab anywhere near the valves. Always two hands, like Mr. Lindley said, And so you literally just want to grab it from biggest part of the body, so preferably the bottom, and if you can on the side, and literally just pick it up. And then I like to have it laying on my side like this, or like this if I'm just waiting. As far as the mouthpiece goes, here, it's currently on the floor. I would always recommend that your kids get a case for the mouthpiece. This is the best way to protect that mouthpiece from, if it literally falls on the floor, if your student just drops it on the floor, it is protected by a case. I have a Giddings & Webster case. Looks just like this. And then inside it has another little mini case in it as well that you can just put it in. It's Velcro. Perfect for protecting your mouthpiece. And so
if you're looking for a cheap option too,
yes,
you can get one of these guys. It's just like a rubber case. It's pretty cheap.
Yes.
Very affordable.
Yes. So mouthpieces, especially with middle schoolers, they can just fall and drop on the floor depending on the floor of your band hall. If it's like this MSC, it would probably not do wonders for the mouthpiece at all. So then I literally just grab the mouthpiece, put it in the horn. Don't twist it. You can just put it in and then just lift up, and boom, here we are. Depending on the posture as well, when you put up the horn, I like to keep mine on the chair, but there are some people, do you have the grip thing?
I do.
So if you want to grab that out. Like I said, I have mine in the chair. I like to scoot back in my chair. But then some students may also need this little, what is this called?
You can just call it cloth or whatever.
I call it a little cloth grip. And some students may put it on their side like this and just adjust it.
It helps stabilize the from your lap.
Yes. So this won't move. I'm just playing my horn.
Mm-hmm.
So
to review, pick up the horn in 2 hands.
yes.
When you put the mouthpiece on, you put the mouthpiece on the ground or here. But if you put it on your lap, just note students might be clumsy. You grab the mouthpiece while holding onto the horn. And then you twist it a little bit, not too much, because if you do too much, it'll get stuck. So like twist it like maybe 45 degrees. And then you chill. To bring it to you, pick it up. It can be on your lap. Some students might have, what are those things called? Like a little brace, like a stand?
A little stand, yes. So some students, depending on their height, will also have a stand that goes on the floor, and it'll basically lay like this, depending on the height, obviously, of your student.
Yeah, and the student might be like this tall. So like, if they're like this tall and the tuba like this, and their head's here.
Yeah.
Which is why we use the stand sometimes.
Yes. Alrighty. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit more about specific mouthpieces. Let me put this down. When you're setting it down, always, like I said, grab by the bottom and thicker parts of the body. Never by the slides, never by the valves, never by the lead pipe, never by the mouthpiece either. Always grab thick, dense parts of the horn, and then just very carefully, if you're putting it on the side or on its bell, just be careful, and then move it to where it's nice on the chair. So a good mouthpiece for beginners. We both, when we were talking about this, we both started on a Hellberg, which looks something like this. There we go. Looks like that. This is honestly the most practical beginner mouthpiece out there. And looking at prices now, it's around $97, $100, $185. So that'll be your typical mouthpiece.
Don't do that.
Your typical mouthpiece price. I currently play on a Shire's mouthpiece. In here I have a Parentucci, which I like to use for marching band. Parentucci PT44.
For classical playing, I prefer Lasky mouthpieces, to say Lasky 30G. I prefer it because like the cup is like more bigger and it's like more rounded, so I can get like a rounder sound. The Hellbergs are good because like the cup is like more conical and it's like easier to get notes out.
Yes.
But like when student gets more advanced, there are plenty of options out there. Shires. I'm buying an RT, I think, RT50.
Mm-hmm. But overall, most practical beginner mouthpiece is your Hellberg. It's like perfect for beginners, helps get nuts out very easily, and Yeah.
And it also carry them a long way. I know people in college who are still planning
Yes.
on Hellbergs.
Yes. Yes.
One more thing. Earlier, my slide came out. You always routine instrument maintenance is to oil the valve so they don't get sticky, and to grease the slides. Sometimes if you grease them too much, which is a good thing, but if you grease them too much, it might like fall out if you haven't pulled out. So if you're sitting at the bell, have the slides like pushed in,
Yes.
so don't fall out like mine did. All-in-one encompassing segment on posture. So before we pick up the instruments, let's just go over how we sit in the chair. Your tuba players will probably sit in the back of the chairs. Tuba's the exception to the rule of sitting in front of the chair, and they can sit in front of the chair if they are comfortable in the lap or on the stand. But they can also be comfortable sitting in the back of the chair. Like all instruments, we want relaxed legs.
Yes, feet flat on the floor. You need a decent bit of space, so kind of spread the legs apart a little bit. Obviously, you just want to be as comfortable as possible, no tension in the body. Obviously, sit up tall, keep the shoulders back and relaxed, the arms relaxed.
Keep them back, but don't keep them tense. When you're teaching to go to this position, you can have them like take deep breaths and relax the shoulders, because that's sighing most of them will make them relax the shoulders, because the idea is there's no tension at this position.
Yes, yes, that is correct. Okay, now we're gonna talk about bringing the instrument back, of course. So always, like we just said, bottom of the instrument, preferably thick, dense parts of the instruments. Never the valves, never the slides, never the lead pipe, never the mouthpiece. So we're just gonna go ahead and grab, and then we're just gonna go to our little rest position. And like we said earlier, I like to keep mine in my chair, so I just need a little bit. I need to scoot back personally in my chair.
And I keep mine on my lap, so I don't have the rag on me, but I usually don't do it. But yeah, just here, bring it to me.
Yes, always bring instrument to you, never you to the instrument.
Yeah, never. If you see students, don't do this. This is bad.
Yes,
Bad
just like how
students.
you're eating, you want to bring the fork to you, not you to the fork. But now we're gonna talk a little bit more about the hand position. Like I said, you always just want to have no tension, no stress in the upper body as well. I like to think like a little spider hand, a little tarantula hand. So your students will always have a little thumb ring, and then we have a fifth valve on our tubas, but that's just B flat tubas, which is what the tuba that your students will typically start on, do not have a fifth valve. So since we have the thumb ring, you just put your thumb through the thumb ring, and then we have the fifth, so we just like to rest, and then spider hand, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it's very important that your students are pushing down the valve straight down, because it's easy to push them down like at an angle.
Yes, so you never want to have your fingers flat because that causes tension. So you just want to have the fingertips just pressing down the valves. I like to tell when I taught lessons before, I always like to tell my students, imagine if you have pennies on your valves, you want to make sure that when you press down the valves that the pennies don't fall off the valves.
And this is a good time to note there are two types of valves on tubas.
Yes.
We just showed you how to play on rotor valves. Sorry, no, we showed you how to play on piston valves. These are piston valves.
Yes, so they look like this.
Similar
Little
to trumpets.
pistons. Like this.
A lot of tubas have rotor valves, which they rotate on an axis to get the valves down. And it's very similar to playing on piston valves. For beginners, the difference is negligible. The piston valves might stick more, but it's the same motion, same hand shape. Your thumb goes in the hole, and you want to press down, not into it. Like press your fingers down into the valve, not into the valve. It's always worth noting that all students are different, and all tubas are different.
Yes.
So, the key things are to just know that no two people will hold the tuba the same. There isn't a correct way to do it, but there are incorrect ways to do it, and anything that creates tension is an incorrect way to do it.
Yes. Yeah, like Mr. Lindley said, all tubas are built, shaped differently, and so the overall priority is trying to find like what is comfortable for the student, especially because this instrument is not the most comfortable just on its own, no matter what. Obviously very heavy, can be very uncomfortable for students who are just starting out. So just trying to find the good overall comfortable position that they like is a priority. But we just have to make sure that you aren't picking it up where you're not supposed to, making sure that you're building those habits from like day one, especially with like the hand position. That is so important. And yeah, making sure that we build those good habits on day one.
All right, now that we know how to hold the instrument, now that it's in your lap, we're putting the horn back down and we're taking the mouthpiece out. Because for brass playing, any brass instrument, all of the music comes from these johns right here, these lips. Nothing happens to the horn, it's all on the lips and what happens to the mouthpiece. I don't like free buzzing. Free buzzing is when you just buzz without a mouthpiece. That's kind of bad because the whole point is you want to like have relaxed lips, and free buzzing creates tension because you're just biting down. That's bad. So no tension. So let's first talk about like how much mouthpiece you want to put in. Some people say half and half. You can do anywhere in the realm of half and half to like 2/3 top, 1/3 bottom, because the vibrations come from the top lip, and your bottom lip is the anchor.
Yes.
So usually anchor in the bottom lip. So we can talk about how to bring the mouthpiece to your face first. Of course, to relax everything. So grab the mouthpiece, just bring it up. I like to think, yeah. Miss Sanchez can demonstrate what I'm doing.
So we have it here.
You anchor in the bottom lip and you just bring it up. And then think, kind of think, to bring two lips together. And think, oh. Think, think, oh or ah to open up that oral cavity. Because it's very important to have an opened up oral cavity. People use the term buzz when talking about creating a sound on the mouthpiece. That term can create like unwanted tension. We prefer the term vibrate because that's what's happening. So instead of making a buzz, think letting the lips vibrate. So when you have your mouthpiece in your face, to review, we just bring it up like that. Create the armature, moo, and then have students blow air gradually until they create a sound with that kind of formation. Yeah, and all you're looking for is for a sound to come out. The first sound you should always go ahead and do it again. The first thing you should always hear is the air. I'll kind of demonstrate this. You want to hear the air first. That's good. Yes, that airy thing in the beginning of the sound is what you want at the beginning. That means that means air is coming out, but tension isn't.
Yes.
And you just want them to kind of gradually blow more air until the lips vibrate, and have the lips be close enough so they vibrate. But the second you see them pinching and doing bad stuff, that's no.
And that's also I'm gonna interject. That's also another reason why we like to say like vibrate instead of buzz, because once you put the mouthpiece on the horn, like you need so much air for this horn. And so sometimes I've noticed that sometimes beginners will get frustrated, and so they start like blowing in and like buzzing as hard or as much as they can, and that creates the bad habits that we don't want. So letting that air kind of just go, and then the lips naturally just making that vibration is ideal.
The most important thing on tuba is tone. Like nothing comes close to what tone is on tuba, because it's so big, it's so resonant that it's super noticeable when you students have bad tone. And the tuba in like band literature usually sits in that like low to high register under the staff, and it's super noticeable when you're playing notes that sound bad and out of tune, because like the tuba is the fundamental sound of the ensemble, and when that sounds out of tone, then the rest of the ensemble is due to failure.
Yes.
Is there anything else you wanted to add?
We talk about air, like temperature of air.
Yeah, do that.
So another important thing to obviously talk about is like obviously yes, embouchure and the vibration, but whenever you're playing notes now, thinking about the temperature of the air is also going to be very important. So when you play, like if you were to grab your hand and just blow like very warm air, that's what you want to kind of create like the lower sounds in the instrument, like the lower notes, and having that come out. And then colder air, more laser beam air, will help your students get to those high notes in the range of the instrument.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
yeah.
Also building up your low register will help the high notes come out better. Also another thing, we can talk about genetics, because no two people again are made the same, and I personally have an overbite. So like it creates tension if I like force my jaw forward. It creates tension here. So you want to like balance out like having an open like oral cavity with like your genetics and your students' genetics, because each of your students will have a very different experience. Some students may be good at getting high notes out, and some students may be good at getting low notes out first. And whatever sounds a beginner can get is the sounds you want them to be making, as long as they sound good. All right, we've went over embouchure, how to create your sounds. It's very important to note that the tongue never initiates the sound. It's always your air initiating the sound. So we always want to practice doing air attacks, or practice doing like gradual increases in air to sounds out. And then eventually you want the air to be able to be fast enough in the beginning to get the sound out. But it's never the tongue that starts the sound. Mm-hmm. That'll create tension in the mouth and like anticipation of the sound, that creates tension. So no tongue starting the sound. The tongue is only the articulator. So speaking of tongue, let's talk about tongue. So there are two syllables we tend to use as tuba players to create articulations. D is a more lyrical, less harsh kind of articulation, whereas T is a more articulate sound. And it can be up to you as a teacher and as a part of your program to see which syllable you use. I prefer D when I'm like playing more classically and playing like more like lyrical literature. But when I'm like playing loud stuff orchestrally or marching bandally, I'll think like T to get that more rasp color.
More attack to the sound.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we can just talk about it. So say D.
D.
Good job, you articulated.
D.
D, and then have your students just. It's the same thing with it on your mouth, and you can have them blow air and just just do air through the mouthpiece or their instrument and say D or T, and then once they can do that in time and in tone, and once they have a good sound, then you can have them start saying D or T. I'll probably teach them D first, just because T probably creates more tension because it's more articulate. Do you have anything to say?
I want to add on to that, to talking about D. D is just, it's more comfortable, especially because of the like how big the mouthpiece is as well, and it's also just easier, I think, to have students just go D over and over again instead of T, because students will think too hard about it. That's what I've noticed. People like my students tend to overthink it, and it's not that difficult.
It's not difficult.
So it's just much easier to just say D over and over again, and
All right. So here is D, D, D. I'll do it in air first, and then I'll do notes. It's an open G. Where's the T? To kind of end off our video, we wanted to go over 5 large pedagogical problems you will probably encounter in your tenure as a tuba professor. So it's very easy, number 1, for students to get a closed tone, by which I mean what's happening there is my oral cavity is very close, like my teeth are very close together, so the air is like having to go through the teeth. I'm like thinking very close, like almost like pinched inside my mouth. Maybe my air isn't fast enough, or I'm not blowing enough air. It's very important that you students are blowing enough air, but enough quality air, whereas like relaxing into your sound, like you're breathing in time, because the breath is the most important part of playing tuba.
Yeah, and I'm gonna chime in. When it comes to this instrument, the breath is the most important thing. You want to make sure that you are taking the best quality breath with no tension, as much air in as possible and as much out consistently. That is just, the air and the breath is what is going to really determine for your students as well, like even the type of tone, like the tone quality as well. Making sure that oral cavity is always just really open and relaxed specifically, and just making sure that air is just coming out. And yeah, like the breath is so important. And
It definitely is. And just much like the oral cavity, the shape of your mouth and the inside is just as important. I mean, it's less important, but still very important. So if my oral cavity is closed and you see that their cavity is closed, I would have them think ooh, practice like ooh or aw.
especially when you get into the lower range, you want to, like I said earlier, like that warm air naturally. If you take your hand and just like that type of air is what you need, and that relaxed jaw with that open oral cavity is what you're gonna need for your students, what your students really need to establish.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll demonstrate with like a bad breath, very closed oral cavity, and then I'll demonstrate with a good breath and a more open, resonant oral cavity. Another problem that you might encounter is students pinching or forcing out high notes. It's very important to consider that at no point your students should be forcing air out into their instruments. It should all be very natural. If you see any tension creep up in their face or in the upper body, that's a sign they're forcing the note out. And if you hear funny things come out, then you'll know they're putting unwanted stress on themselves and their instrument.
Yeah.
Anything?
I think the most common thing that I've seen when students start to try to like force those high notes and like pinching is they will press their mouth into the mouthpiece, like you can't do any, like if you tried to move that mouthpiece off their face, it wouldn't move at all. Like they really press. So you want to obviously make sure that the mouthpiece is like on their face, of course, but never should it be like digging into the student's face, because like I've said, I've seen students think that like that is what gets the high notes out when it really is not, because you're stopping, you're pressing so hard into the face and into the lips where the lips aren't, at some point they're just not going to vibrate. No.
When you're practicing putting the mouthpiece on their face, you want as little mouthpiece on the face that they can still get a note out. And if you're seeing them having problems, you could have them buzz in the mouthpiece and just gradually you could take it off. So you gotta find like the best place to where mouthpiece on your face with the least amount of tension. And of course, just make sure they aren't doing anything weird with their body. If you see them like, no. If you see them like really like putting excess like, I'm sorry. One thing is you never want to think out when you're going high. If you think out, that'll only like make your lips less, like more spread out, so like less resonant. Don't like ever have them start your lips out. You want to think in. And you want to think like more down with the air, not with your mouth.
Yes, the air should be aiming down. When going higher, air should be aiming down.
So this is me taking my lips apart. This is me like putting my focusing my air more. Mouthpiece side range are a really good thing to practice to build that accuracy in the high register. It's like buzzing from low to high, high to low. Yeah. Anything else?
Going now, I guess, into what Mr. Lennon was saying, like, especially when playing high notes, it's, like I said, it's just a lot of commonalities that I think that we should share. And, like, what we see in students, whenever students want to play higher, they like to creep up their shoulders. And even sometimes I have a bad habit of doing that, like, just being really honest. And it is not good because you are adding so much tension by going in here, and you're, like, closing up the neck, kind of, by like literally raising your shoulders all the way here. So you just want to make sure that like your students, especially when they have the horn on their face, that your students are as relaxed as possible, because this instrument is very uncomfortable. So whenever you start playing really high, you'll see your students do that, and we don't want that. So just trying to make sure that even like where you grab it can also have a huge impact. So sometimes I like to grab it behind, see, and obviously like hand is in the side, or even like if your student has their arm like this is also not really ideal, like, at all. So you just want to make sure that your students are holding. A lot of it has to do with the way you are holding the instrument.
And you can like notice how much tension is in your upper body when
Yes.
she's going around, when she's like wrapping around and holding it.
Yes.
In bad ways. Like you can see how close her shoulders are to her face.
Yes. So you just want to find that nice, comfortable position. Obviously, you have to pull out your slides, so you need to find a good position for that as well. But never should it be like your shoulders are all the way up here and your arm and the shoulders all the way up here. It should be nice and relaxed as much as possible. And that, even as uncomfortable as this instrument can be, it is still so important that you just remove all tension, and building those habits from day one is what is gonna get you there. So, yeah.
Exactly. And while we were on the discussion of playing high, as with all things that comes with practice, it's so easy for beginners to play below the staff, like just play the tuba range from B flat to B flat, and never play anything above a B flat until they get to like middle school band or high school band, and they're doing like etudes and solo repertoire, and it's all in the staff, and they start getting crazy tension because they never played in the staff before. So it's important to like introduce the higher register sooner rather than later. Yeah.
Our fourth, like, huge pedagogical concern is how the hand moves, how the fingers move in relation to the tongue. Obviously, big instrument, you need a lot of air, which means obviously you need to send that air quickly, and making sure that tongue is also moving quickly as well. But obviously, when you do that, you also have to make sure that the fingers are moving quickly. So going back now to the hand position, that has so much to do with it, removing all tension. Like, this instrument is like, you need zero tension to play this instrument. When you have tension, this instrument is not your friend at all. So just making sure that like that hand position is curved fingers. I like to think like little spider, like big tarantula hand, making sure that it's the tip, like the tips of your fingers, never flat fingers, because this will hurt. And you're adding so much extra work. Your students are adding so much extra work by just keeping the fingers flat. So always keep them more rounded. Think the pennies analogy that I said earlier. Tell your students you have pennies on your valves. Don't let the pennies fall off the valves. And making sure that the tongue moves with the fingers, because that'll create a lag in the sound, and you already have all of this for your air to get through, and so making sure that is moving at the same time, if not even slightly before the tongue.
Yeah, and it's something you need to catch like from the start, because if they develop the bad habits of moving the tongue and their fingers independently, then that will cause like bad habits to build up, and sooner or later your students are like just moving the fingers and the tongue willy-nilly, and it sounds like just a bunch of random notes that don't sound good. And I find separating them is very helpful. So like if I'm practicing a fast passage, I'll take the tongue out and just slur the passage, and then I'll do the opposite. I'll just tongue the passage on a single note, and I'll just keep adding notes. So yeah. It's kind of messy, but you get the idea. Like I'm slowly adding things until I build the muscle memory of that coordination. Yeah.
Alrighty, y'all. Our last and final pedagogical concern is just the overall maintenance of the instrument. Another commonality I will just go ahead and just say is that your sixth graders are very small, and this instrument is very big. So it might be very, very heavy for them. So always just making sure that, like, even when it's just putting it back into the hard case, the gig bag, whatever it is, that it is just going in there safe and sound, making sure overall, again, like grabbing it by the thick parts of the instrument, never by the valves, slides, mouthpiece, lead pipe, none of that. Mm-hmm. So that's just like step number one. Just picking it up and putting it back into the case and making sure that the case is fully closed, all of that stuff. Yeah.
And like Miss Sanchez said, the tube is like so big, it's so easy to like neglect it, but it's like also so easy to like neglect cleaning it and maintaining it, and like that maintenance of the fast valves and the like even the appearance is so important. Mm-hmm. Like even just how you present your instrument visually is so important, because that either creates good or bad professionalism depending on how clean your instrument is. And the less you clean it, the more gunk occurs and the more stinky the instrument is, and you don't want a stinky instrument.
Yes.
So there's two like main liquids you'll encounter, types of liquids. Your your valve oil, and then your slide grease. I don't have slide grease on me, but the oil is for the valves.
Yes.
Grease is for the slides. Slides are just these guys you pull out. To undo it, you just screw the john out, and then
Show up close.
just screw it out, lefty loosey, ready tight. Make sure you always pick it up by here. Don't touch this part with the fingers, because you'll get dirty, and that's bad. And then
you would just pour.
Just pour it around this. Don't get it on the top or anything. It's on the valve itself, on the part it goes in. And I also like to give just like a little bit of oil too, a little love, and then put it back in just so. And there's a liner. So there's a little guy here. There's a little guy here. You put the little guy in the little guy. And then, yeah, there's so many different oils out there for pistons and rototubas. Pistons are more straightforward to oil, sorry. But on rototubas,
I'll grab the phone again.
You unscrew the back of the valve. I don't have oil, so I won't do it. but you just unscrew this. It takes a little longer because it's weird. I don't like oiling these guys. You just unscrew it, and then you put oil on this mechanism here. On this guy.
Yes.
And then you put it back. And then you can also put oil inside the slide. So to identify which slide it is, you touch the valve and you just
follow the tubing.
Follow the tubing. So often we ask, hey, which valve is this? What's the first valve slide? Just follow it.
Just follow the tubing.
So this one goes here, goes here. When you take a valve out, when you take a slide out, you want to press the valve down and pull it out.
Yes. If this is very important because you will damage the instrument if you don't do it.
Yeah, because the air pressure.
The air pressure will mess everything up.
If you have slide grease, you just take the grease either in your finger or it might be a liquid. You just like kind of put it on there, and then if you're oiling the valve, you just take the oil and you pour it in here, and then you cover it back on down, put it back in, and then you it's like spin it a couple times, spin the horn gently, both hands.
Yes, both hands always.
And then yeah, also more like you can make stuff. Recommend that the tuba itself gets a bath once or twice a year. Depending on the culture of your program, I would either tell your students to do it or do it yourself. Because for high brass, it's a lot easier because it's something they can hold with one hand. They shouldn't hold one hand, but they can hold with one hand. But for tubas, it's so big, it's so easy to drop, and it's so easy. It becomes so heavy when you like fill up with water. It's like hard to lift up. So yeah, just when you take a bath, give it a bath. Take all the valves out, take everything out, take all the slides out, and just put it in the water, soak it up, all the stuff. And if it gets gunky inside of it, this thing called a snake, just put it inside the lead pipe, which is the part the mouthpiece goes inside. The part the mouthpiece goes inside, or you can put it inside a slide or the valve. Just be careful because it might get stuck. Brand recommendations. Hetman is a very nice professional brand.
Looks like this.
And they do oils for both piston and rotor, and they do grease as well. A lot of different brands working. Ask your brass player friends, but if you ever see a bottle of blue juice, I would
absolutely not.
I would ban this substance from your school grounds and never let your students deal blue juice to each other because it's very addicting and it will destroy your instruments.
Yes, always this over this any day.
Don't ever let students, even a marching band, don't let them get tempted. It's cheap, but it will destroy your instruments.
Yes, over time it will mess up the
and your soul. Yeah, and your soul. So don't let them get addicted to blue juice.
Yes.
Cool. All right, thank you for listening through our guide to playing and teaching the tuba. This is Mr. Lindley and Mrs. Sanchez coming in from TCU School of Music with the tubas, and we taught you how to teach tuba. So, anything to say?
No.
Roll these out.
Yeah. So basically, just overall, like making sure students are holding the instrument correctly, using lots of air. Pennies, tarantula hand is going to be essential.
I'm sure just no tension, just air over buzz.
Yes.
Air is the most important thing in tuba. No buzzing, no forcing sounds out. Tonguing is D, like no tension there. Always start sounds with your air.
Yes, and overall, we love this instrument very much, and it is a very beautiful instrument. So if your students, even just based off size or whatever, start to get like discouraged, like encourage them. It might be a little uncomfortable, but it is a joy to play this instrument, even with all the little things that come with it. So
Go Frogs.
Yeah.